Stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
The flag
the
of the
States
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming this evening for our emergency meeting. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Okay, motion made by Jean, second
Second.
by Michaeline. Okay. Do we have to do roll call vote there, Corinne, since we're online?
Yes, we do.
Let's make sure. Okay, we get a roll call vote. Josh? I assume that was an aye, Josh, right? Mimi?
Josh is muted.
Aye.
Okay, Pete?
All right,
Okay, we already got Michaeline and we already got Jean, correct? That's everybody.
did you? Yeah.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is new business, item for discussion. Learning model selection and date to implementation.
Okay,
So this is on the COVID.
right. Could you bring it up, please, for me? I didn't copy mine. Okay. Okay. With the board discussion item, as noted, community spread and the community spread that was happening this weekend within our own community. We were looking at county numbers and our city numbers were not going up. On Sunday, I started getting notifications of local people and the impact that was having. Looking at the county numbers, on the 12th of November, the county 53.05. The following Thursday, the number came out today, it'll be 81.98. If we continue to have the positive cases we're having, it will be close to 100 on Thanksgiving Day. We are having double-digit positivity every day in the county. And so therefore, tomorrow we are slated to have about 13% of our overall student population in distance learning. That is an increase of almost 4% from last week. And looking at each building, it's over 16% of the elementary students will be in quarantine. A little over 11% for the high school. The preschool is only about 5%, so they haven't hit the threshold of needing to go to distance learning. We have one class at the elementary school that will have to quarantine because we do have a positive student now. He was exposed to a parent who is also positive. We have been advised by Jacob Zidane, our state epidemiologist, that we should consider going to distance learning. The state is not going to mandate it, but the recommendation to our school board is to move to distance learning. So my recommendation is there. And what my recommendation is that we next Monday move to distance learning. And this Thursday and Friday, use 2 of the 5 allowed for planning days. So that would be 2 non-student contact days on Thursday and Friday for the teachers to plan for distance learning. Right now, as they're doing distance learning on Wednesdays, they've just planned for that Wednesday. They need to convert all of the things that they're doing that they had planned for in class and face-to-face on the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. They have to convert that to distance now. And I think 2 days should be plenty to do that. It's also what I'm requesting is that we move to distance learning plus. We are in the process. I was hoping to have a little more time. This weekend didn't give it to us. A little more time to define what the plus is. The plus is those students that need to come in face to face. We are nearing completion of that, but on Thursday and Friday, we will have the time to really define how those students will get indicated for that plus face to face, and also how the notification, transportation will happen. We have a variety of classes that need that plus. For example, some of our special education needs to have that face-to-face. That was actually mandated by Executive Order 2094. But also we've got our alternative students who did not fare well under distance learning. They need to be part of the plus. And some of our hands-on classes, such as our CTE industrial tech classes. It's really hard to do construction when, as our county nurse put it, she's got 14-year-old twins. She said there is no way she'd want to let them loose with power tools at home to do a school project. So that needs to happen in a confined space, but we need to come up with the procedures and the protocols to make sure that everyone is safe and it's not during any other scheduled classes. So that's, can you scroll up a little bit, Ann? Yeah. Yep. Okay, there. Oh, and then the one other thing, our AD came to me and said, right now, we are doing a very good job of keeping the teams, and actually our public health nurse commended us for the job we're doing with our athletic teams. But the AD said that since the community spread is happening with the adults, he is requesting that we consider rescinding our offer to have spectators at volleyball. We could refund ticket prices, but it just, it would seem to be safer to allow students to play without having the adults there. So we don't have to worry so much about screening at the door. So those are the two things. It would be two different motions, but I wanted to make sure I covered everything. Are questions, concerns, comments?
Yes, I have a question, Corinne. How long would that I know it depends on numbers, of course, but how long would the distant learning, what would be your plan if numbers didn't change, even though we anticipate they will?
What I am suggesting is that we go through the week after Thanksgiving. With Thanksgiving, if we plan to go back to hybrid on December 4th. So it would be distance learning from November 16th through December 3rd. That's a Sunday. So I guess Friday would be December 1st, right?
No, I don't see that. Is that right? No. My calendar says something different, but that's 2020.
Okay, what's
December 4th would be Friday.
December 4th is.
Okay, through December 4th.
Yeah, so we'd start
Thank you.
back school on the 7th would be the next Monday.
Perfect. Yes.
So can we add a caveat to that 1 week before, so it would be December 2nd, that we would let people know what the rates are looking like, and if we, sorry, I have a child that just decided to show me something. So if the rates are looking good, that we would come back on the 9th, or if they're still high, we would let them know a week in advance what the plan is.
Correct.
Yeah, well, why don't we do this, Mimi? Why don't we just plan to talk about that at the planning meeting on Tuesday, December 1st? I know you're talking the 2nd, but if we do not, can we do it Tuesday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it at the planning meeting. We can discuss that, and then at that time, put it out. You know,
Yeah, because if our rate is at 100, there's no chance of us.
Right. Yeah.
Except by that point, we will see what our rate is for November 26th, but we'll also know what the rate will be for that December 3rd. We'll also have our rate for December 10th by then too, since we have the planning guide from we get real-time data from the county. So we'll see if it's coming back down again. So on December 2nd, we could make a decision to come back into the hybrid model on December 7th. I just don't see any reason to come back November 30th.
So I think in the I don't know if it's a letter that's going out to the parents, if we can be clear on that date so they know they're not going to be coming back to hybrid until after such and such date, and we will inform them on December 2nd is what whichever date Tom said.
Yeah, December 1st.
We'll inform them on December 1st after looking at the rates. So it's kind of a moving target based on how things are going.
Right.
Well, this whole year is a moving target. On the website, I've already changed our stoplights to red because I know we need to change.
On the motion, we need to have a motion stating that we will go into distance learning as of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corinne, this Friday.
We'll start next Monday, November 16th.
November
And
16th.
I've got the motion written in the superintendent recommendation section to try to help this out.
Okay. And then we'll have decide again on the 1st if we will prolong that.
But right now,
Right now, we'll be out until the 7th for sure.
correct. And return to, right now, the plan is to return to hybrid on December 7th. Correct.
So I would say, go ahead, Michaeline, I'm sorry.
So point of clarification for the parents, however, the students will all be at home. The high school students will be home starting Wednesday because Thursday and Friday are transition days. That is a no school day. That has to be made clear to parents as well, even though hybrid learning starts the following Monday, right?
Distance learning. does.
Distance learning starts. the
Distance
following-
learning,
Yep.
distance learning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Wednesday is going to be a typical Wednesday. So the high
Right.
school students will be doing distance learning in the morning and then targeted in the afternoon. And elementary will be here for half a day in the morning. And
Okay.
yep,
My
Yeah,
other
I'm-
question is, do we need transition days for the teachers in the return from distance learning?
no, that will all be, there should not be a transition day in the return.
So when you send out the letter, I would just make clarity, like I think Michaeline and Mimi, and I think everybody would agree to just spell it out. You know, this is what's happening with the high school. This is what's happening with the grade school. This is what's happening with the preschool. So that way there won't be any questions.
There will be a blast today about if the board approves it, no school on Thursday and Friday. And then more information to follow. And the letter that will go out tomorrow will spell it out in its entirety. But the blast is just to make sure that everybody understands the quick and dirty right now.
So just a couple things. So parents watching don't have questions. So the preschool is kind of considered under the plus because we feel like the preschoolers need to be in person. So the preschool is going to continue, as will Summit. Most of Summit, if not all of Summit, will continue in the hybrid model that it has been. But then can you briefly touch on Hurricane Watch and food service, just so people know what to expect with those two items?
Well, food service will continue Thursday and Friday. We still will have food service. It will be like last spring as far as students and parents will have to call in to the food service line to request a lunch on Thursday and or Friday, the meal bundles. And then they will need to pick it up unless they have one of those extenuating circumstances that means it needs to be delivered. An extenuating circumstance is not just that it's tough to get there. It means that you've got someone medically fragile in your home that you can't leave alone, or you have no transportation to pick up the food. It's not going to be we're not doing Uber Eats. So it will be more pickup here. And that's one of the ways we can still use our paraprofessionals on that Thursday and Friday. They will be also helping with some other materials as well. And as far as Hurricane Watch, those students who are already going to Hurricane Watch, even if they're not a tier 1, still have it open for them because they're already potted at Hurricane Watch. We can add tier 1. Teachers and paras are considered tier 1 employees now. So if a teacher needs to have his or her child at Hurricane Watch, that's acceptable during the day. Does that answer those questions, Mimi? And Josh, you had questions.
Can't hear you, Josh.
Josh, I think you're on mute. You've got to turn your volume up.
Can't hear you. Hello? Can't hear you. Still nothing there, Josh.
Maybe Josh, can you type it in the chat and we can,
Type it in the chat and I can read it.
while he's doing that, Corinne, I'm noticing that your recommendation for the motion would be to move to distance learning for grades from K through 12 or from grade 3 through 12. Did we discuss?
You have not
K
discussed
through
that
1?
yet,
Thank you.
but you need to.
Yes, I understand. I'm just trying to clarify.
Also, while we're waiting for Josh, the motion, it says move to distance learning. Does it need to say distance learning plus?
Yes, it does. Thank you. I was putting this together rapidly, so we all are working together to make sure we're catching all the loose ends.
Josh, Gene, you have a question?
Not right now. I was just going to say that tomorrow the students will have to be reminded to take their
Cool.
Chromebooks home because they won't be in then
Right.
on Thursday and Friday.
Well, the
Except for
high school
the-
students, for sure, the
Right.
elementary students will be there Wednesday, so we'll
Yeah.
make sure that we get everything bundled for them that we can in the
I don't-
next 2
I
days.
don't want to necessarily have this conversation. Josh, I think, is trying to reconnect, but what is your recommendation on kindergarten 1 and 2? Or Mr. Bartz's?
I would like to defer to Rick on that one because I'm
Rick.
conflicted.
Go ahead.
I would recommend K through 3 out as well.
So K through 3 in distance as well.
The elementary school in distance.
Okay. Josh, can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Woo!
I just don't, listen, I would have liked to hear what Mr. Bartz has to say.
Mr.
He
Bart
just-
said that he wanted to have K through 3 out in distance learning as well.
Oh, well, listen, couple thoughts. We're projecting these numbers, they're up. When is it actual critical? And when does it become too much of a workload to have our teachers having too many students in the classroom and too many at home? That's my first question.
What the guidance we've been given from the Department of Ed is, and the Department of Ed is, as soon as you've hit that 10% threshold, that
Mhm.
gets to be a point where you need to consider going to another model.
Okay.
And
So we're already at 13, you said? Or
for
we're going to
tomorrow,
be-
we're
Okay.
on site wide, we're at 13, but part of that is we've got the preschool in there where the preschool has a very low percentage. Elementary school is at about 16% that are in quarantine for tomorrow, and the high school is over 10 as well.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. Is it possible to have like half-day elementary? I guess I feel like our, and from personal experience and just from talking to other parents and teachers, the high school kids are able to distance learn much smoother than elementary. Our younger kids need a lot more face time and in-person time. Is it possible to have them in the morning, have lunch, ship them out? That way it's only leaving the afternoon. Is that possible?
Well, that would still be considered a hybrid model.
Yeah,
And right now we are being,
I mean, I am very respectful of the challenge. Well, I'm very respectful of the virus. I'm also very respectful of the challenge it's putting on our our teachers, that they have kids now at home and in the classroom. When we started the year, they were all in the classroom. But I know for a fact that parents want their kids in the class. The kids want to be in the class. And also this spreading, I don't think it's happening in our school walls. I think it's happening in the community. So I think everybody's got to get their, you know what, in line. And so these kids can continue to stay in school. I think our kids are following protocol a lot better than we adults. So,
I would concur wholeheartedly, except our students are living in the homes with the adults. And if you're exposed, it's like swimming in a pool. If one person does something in the pool that they shouldn't do in the pool, you're all swimming in it. And that's kind of the situation we've got going on here. The other thing is, with 16% of that student population already quarantining, even if we had the kids here in the morning, the teachers would still have part of their kids in the classroom and part of their kids. They would be doing that double duty, and for a large chunk of kids. And I think that right now, the numbers are just such that I don't think our system can withstand maintaining the hybrid. I think we need to do distance and go to distance. Give everybody that 3-week time period to really see if we can get the virus, at least in our community, to burn out. And then try it again after Thanksgiving, and hopefully people will have learned that it is real, that it is able to be spread, that we need to do a better job of protecting each other, because that's what this is all about.
Corinne,
It's-
I've got a question.
Yep.
Some of the neighboring schools, I'm extremely confused by this. They have had an individual that was exposed, and they have to stay home and do their social distancing in that, well, they've got to stay home for like a 10-day period. Yet their siblings get to go to school. I'm confused by that. Isn't their sibling going home every night? And, you know, I don't understand. I mean, to me, if you're going to send one child home because they've been exposed, why are they, I shouldn't say we, why are they allowing the other siblings to come to school?
the Department of Health guidance is that if you have been in contact with someone who is positive, you need to quarantine, but the people around you do not until you start exhibiting symptoms. As soon as you exhibit symptoms and feel you need to get tested, as soon as you are getting tested, then everybody else around you has to quarantine. It's the difference between a primary and a secondary source.
Right, but we clearly have been told you're contagious 2 days before you get it and 5 days after. So if there's 2 days before, why would they allow a sibling to attend school because they're very possibly exposed then?
You're absolutely right. We are following, as an example, the student that we have that is positive in the elementary school has a sibling. The sibling is waiting for test results. We cannot quarantine that sibling's entire class until we get a positive test result back.
Wow.
We asked the nurse about that. We asked public health, and we actually went to the epidemiologist, and all three said the same thing. Until we get that positive test result, we cannot act on that quarantine. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying these are the guidelines we have to follow. These are our marching orders.
Corinne, in Governor Waltz's talk, what is the projected availability? Is there availability? What's the projected availability of a rapid test? And because testing would help answer some of this. If you could do a rapid test on a pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic student, you could catch them before signs and symptoms. We don't have that yet. We're screening with temperature checks and whatever. So is there any information about that that you've heard?
As an exact date, when he has promised that he is trying to secure those rapid tests and he is going to try to deploy them. I have not gotten a timetable at all. And as far as temperature checks, right now, the symptom that seems to be showing up first is loss of taste and smell. That's showing up before a fever. So I don't know if we have to have something where kids smell it and have to tell us what the smell is every day. That might be a better screening tool and change the smell-o-vision every day. And so they never know and just know what the smell is. Right now, I'm trying to find a way to keep everybody safe because I want everybody to come back for face-to-face. I want the in-person learning, but in good conscience, I can't say we should have it now until December 7th.
Corinne, just a point of interest. My wife tested positive. I didn't test, but I'm pretty sure I had it. I do have the antibodies, but neither one of us had a fever at all during any of it. Neither one of us lost our taste or smell during any of it. So those wouldn't have worked in our case.
Nope. And that's one of the conundrums with this. It is the same virus, but how it impacts people, each person is impacted kind of in a different way with,
Good point.
and so we don't have a good screening tool. We don't. Temperature is
No,
really.
I
kinda
think
useful.
temperature is, that's why I'm asking about the testing, which is somewhere down the road. I just wanted to say that I, as a board member, have heard to Josh's point, from a parent who wanted us to do everything possible to keep the students in school. I have also heard from a parent who said, please consider our community and our extended families, please send the students home for safety's sake. So these are anecdotes. but I have heard from parents on both sides of this, and I just wanted to make that known.
Mhm. And something else that, to speak to what Josh has said before about the community needing to basically police themselves a little better. The county health nurse said that our community is dealing with a spreader event. She said, I'm not going so far as to call it a super spreader, but it definitely was an event that triggered a great deal of spread. And so anytime you have an event that does trigger the spread, what happens is now the school is impacted by something that happened in the community.
Oh, does anybody else have any other questions, comments? I mean, unfortunately, we could probably discuss this for hours.
One thing on Waltz on Friday, one thing he said that if you go to distance learning, you should go 100% distance learning. You shouldn't do some distance learning and some face at the same time. That was a no-no, he said. I mean, and we were talking about, having a camera and having some students at home and the others. But on Friday, they said you should be one or the other.
Yeah. And that's kind of our plan, I think, is to do everybody gone except for the ones that we kind of have to have come in specific reasons, and that's where the plug comes into play. And again, I understand, I think for me, I understand Josh is everybody's concerns. Obviously, we don't want to make the decision. Nobody wants to come out and say, hey, distance learning, because no matter we do or whether we don't, it's not good for either or people, but we have to look at the majority of our students and what's going to be best health-wise for the safety of theirs. So my thoughts are, just like we've talked about, is have us all go to distance learning, K through 12, except for the students that have to come in because of special needs along the lines that we've discussed for the time period starting, like you said, Thursday, Friday would be off in the high school. Get the kids the information, the products they need to go home, and then tell them they'll come back on the 7th of December. That's kind of what we're at as far as the motion. Correct, Corinne?
Except all students everybody would be off preschool through grade 12
Right.
on site, just on site, Thursday and Friday of this week.
Correct. But just like I said, Mimi, I think pointed out, if I'm not mistaken, on the lunches, all those other factors, when you do up the letter, let's try to make it as clear as possible, or as clear as mud can be, I guess. To me, there's not really an option for us as a board. We have to make the decision one way or the other. So I have a motion here from Mimi for the distance learning. I think she emailed
Well,
it.
I was just gonna paste it there so you guys can read it, but if we're through with discussion, I'm willing to make that motion, but I just took what Corinne
Okay.
had, added some of our notes to it and added some dates. I just want to make sure we're as clear at the highest level as we can be, so that the committee can take it and run with it and further define plus and further define all of these additional items, and that we're all on the same page. And while I have the spotlight for a minute, I just want to say, Josh, I think that I would love for the elementary to continue to be in person. I think that our rates just got out of control too quickly and took that off the table. And I just also want to say thank you to all the teachers and staff. I'm happy we made it the first quarter. So kudos to everyone. It was a great first quarter. It was quiet at the Carlson household. So, but thank you so much to our staff and everyone at the school. They've been jumping through hoops, juggling balls. It's not only are they teaching, they're trying to keep our children safe. They're trying to deal with all of this, and they have just went above and beyond. And lastly, the only way we're going to get the school back open is if our community hunkers down and gets the rates down. So please, 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 for the sake of our community, for the sake of our school, just stay home, okay?
Yeah.
For 3 or 4 weeks and just lay low and see if we can get control again.
So Mimi, you're making a motion?
I would gladly, yes, I will. read it. I motion to move to Distance Learning Plus on November 16th for grades K through 12 and use November 12th and 13th as teacher planning days with no school at all for on-site students. So no school for Summit or preschool, no school at all. Preschool and Summit Learning Center will continue in person as part of the Plus. So when we go to distance learning on the 16th, they would continue as part of the Plus. We will not switch back from Distance Learning Plus to hybrid learning prior to December 7th. We will reanalyze rates on December 1st and communicate an updated plan on that date.
Second.
Second motion.
Yeah, got a motion, got a second by Michaeline. So further discussion? All in favor, Josh?
It's roll call.
Roll
A
call.
roll call. vote. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say I do respect the virus. I really worry about our teachers being overtaxed. But at the same time, I like that right now the kids that are coming under symptoms or in the households, they're being held at home. And now their family's dealing with it and it doesn't affect the whole district. And I like the optimism that it's December, you said 7th?
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah, I mean, that's not that far ahead. So let's hunker down and kick this thing so we're back in school. So, because
Correct.
that's,
Did you vote yes or no?
So did you vote yes on the motion?
no, I voted no.
Okay. Gene,
I vote yes. We're
Yeah.
talking 12 school days now for the kids, I think. And if we can get this turned the other way in 12 days, that would be great. We can open it right back up again.
Yeah.
I vote
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Arlen?
I think I'll vote yes this time. Yeah, I mean, if this helps to clear things up, that would be good. I share Josh's opinion that we need to get these kids into school. There's a lot of other problems that we're not exactly hearing about, that are in these homes, and Josh has made some very good points earlier. So I'm going to say yes this time, but I want these kids back in school.
Okay, so I think I hit everybody, right?
No, Michaeline and Mimi,
Michaeline made the motion, Mimi seconded it.
but they still need
It
to
was the
vote.
other way around.
Michaeline, are you good? Are you-
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, Mimi?
I vote yes.
Okay, so. Okay, everybody voted.
And Tom, do you vote yes?
So yeah, we have 2 opposed. Yes, I do.
One opposed.
1, Josh, 1 opposed. I'm sorry. Okay,
Then, thank you. And then I do need to know what you feel about spectators at volleyball.
okay. My recommendation is I want to keep the kids in activities as long as we possibly can for the safety of the kids and the sanity of the children, obviously, and the parents. And if we have to, according to the AD's recommendation, is to not allow spectators during the sports, I would be fine with that. That's again, just Tom's opinion. I just soon hear everybody else's thoughts on it.
I will second that motion. As long as we guarantee that it's streamed. Well, I'm for that. I mean, let the kids play. The parents don't need to. And everybody's on Facebook, so just stream it on Facebook and everybody will check in. You know, that's there. I'll second that one.
Okay, so Tom, you made a motion, and then Josh is a second for not allowing any more spectators in volleyball. Is that what I'm hearing? So that Ann can get the minutes correct? Yes, okay.
You're muted, but I think it's okay for you to make a motion.
Yeah, I know. Jane, what's your vote? I'm sorry. I
I was
wasn't
gonna say-
muted.
Just we count comments first. We got first and second, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have spectators? What were we allowing before?
We're allowing parents, pretty much 2 spectators per student. Parents primarily.
I think it ended up being 36. There was 36 adults being allowed in, but of those 36, several of them now would not be because they are either positive or in direct contact. And so just looking at the list,
No, that's fine. So what was your other question, Gene? Anything?
Well, I thought, I think a parent should maybe be there in case there's an injury or something. And that if they're at home watching it instead of video, they want to be able to do something with that child if they have to break an ankle or foot or something, wrist. I'd like to see at least one parent be allowed.
Well, Gene, they can't go to away games, some of
Yeah.
them. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they could get hurt away, right? And
Right.
parents just have to deal with it.
Mhm.
So I think with the positivity rate and knowing how many parents were involved, I think we've got to lock down and let the kids play. That's about the kids. It's not about the parents. The parents, a lot of them are sick. And if it means those kids can keep playing, then that's what we need to do, especially if our athletic director is recommending it.
Correct. Mike Lean?
Aye.
You okay? Oh, okay, you're voting? Okay. So Gene, is that an aye from you, Gene?
Yes.
Okay, Pete?
I'm going to say no to this. I want the parents to be able to have the right to come and watch their children play.
Okay.
Some of them are seniors. This is the last opportunity they're going to have to see them. I do agree, but why can't we make it a little stricter coming in? I don't know. Obviously, if somebody has symptoms, they shouldn't even be there. That's a no-brainer, and I think we would all practice that. I don't know how we can emphasize that more to the parents, but I want to let the parents have that opportunity to be able to watch their kids. I think that's very important in the growth of that kid going to school. And, the parents just have to be wise.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. Anybody else have anything else? So we got ayes around except for Pete is, I believe, a no, Corinne.
okay,
Okay, thank you. So is that what we have on the agenda this evening?
Hey,
That's
Corinne,
it.
can I ask one more thing, just so that we're clear with the parents and everyone? So the last meeting, we voted that if we went to distance learning, that extracurricular activities would continue.
as long as there were no positive students on the team and those that had been in contact with anyone that is positive were quarantined and not part of the team. And so
So-
they're following that.
And as soon as, if there is spread in a team, like let's just say volleyball starts to have spread, they're done for whatever, 2 weeks or whatever, which might end up taking out the end of their season. So we have the school nurse involved, making sure that we're doing our contact tracing still with extracurriculars, because I believe basketball is going to start before we come back. So I
Yeah.
just want to be clear, we have some activities starting. And we're trying to do them as safe as possible. And we also had a discussion in the last meeting about the mental health of students and being able to still continue some of that in a very safe manner in smaller groups. So
Correct.
Just a question, Corinne, isn't that mandated by the state, or am I incorrect? That if you have someone that tests positive on a team, the team can't participate, or do I?
No, that it's still the contact tracing. And so, for example, when we start basketball, if we do that in very narrow pods and they make sure that they only have scrimmaging during practice for less than 15 minutes and they do individual drills during most of the practice, then if one member of that basketball team comes down and tests positive, the whole team isn't out, because no one on the team has had that 15-minute threshold met as far as close contact.
Okay, thank you.
I have one
ahead.
final thing, Mr. Chair. Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead. Michael.
To Josh's point and Pete's and others, the virus is raging right now, and thankfully what I have heard is that the majority of people who have endured it have relatively mild signs and symptoms. But as Corinne said, and is true of this virus, and what I understand about viruses is this is not about the virus, it's about the person's own defenses. And we don't know what anybody's defenses are, notwithstanding pre-existing conditions. It's just how your body defenses are going to handle this virus that otherwise is sort of a no-brainer for most people, which is a wonderful thing. And Pete, you know, you've lived that. So I think if we're making dramatic suggestions to keep the staff and the students safe, it is because everybody involved with the school is a numerator, not a denominator. And nobody wants to be that one person or that one family. So that's our goal here too.
Very good point, Michaeline. And I think everybody I come in contact with, and I encourage each of you to do the same. This is based on my discussion with my particular doctor. I think I encourage people to be taking vitamin D, checking their vitamin D level, see what it's at. Take zinc, take vitamin C. We've got to get our immune system up. And that's what these people haven't done. Whether it's true or not, one of the statistics that came out was 80% of the deaths have been people with low vitamin D. So we don't know for sure. There's a lot of things we don't know, but I think we need to emphasize that as community members.
Well, the one thing we can
Any other-
emphasize is wear a mask.
Okay, so I think we're done this evening. Thank everybody for participating. Everybody have a good evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Okay, got a motion by Pete. Do I got a second?
Second.
Okay, Gene seconded it. Okay, roll call vote. All in favor? Michaeline,
Aye.
Mimi,
Aye.
Pete,
All right.
Josh,
I
Gene.
Aye.
Okay, thank you again, everybody. You guys all have a good evening. Bye.